I would like to give a brief reaction to a speech I listened to from Minister Louis Farrakhan, in which he threw his support behind Ye and Kyrie Irving. It is always an excellent experience when we listen to Minister Louis Farrakhan speak. He is one of the remaining social justice warriors from the civil rights era, and he has remained uncompromised and non-compromising. Minister Louis Farrakhan has had enough of what is taking place related to Kyrie Irving and Kanye West. And he basically outlined to the black community that although we can criticize members of the black community for shunning Kanye West and for shunning Kyrie Irving, Minister Louis Farrakhan is admonishing the black community to be patient with many of the members of the press who are now condemning Kyrie Irving and condemning Ye, aka Kanye West. According to Minister Louis Farrakhan, there are many people in the press and many celebrities in the African American community who are now compromised by their business associations. They are compromised by the persons for whom they are employed and to whom they are obligated in terms of their contractual obligations. Persons like Shannon Sharp, persons like Shaquille O'Neal are actually criticizing Ye and criticizing Kyrie Irving for their association with the documentary From Hebrews to Negroes. Persons are now openly condemning and trying to blackball Kyrie Irving from the NBA, and it is due to him simply watching a video and posting a link to the video for other persons to take a look at. Okay, Minister Louis Farrakhan, in his speech, admonished us to be patient because some of us are compromised by our associations, and they are still our brothers, they are still our sisters. So we should be patient with them and actually try to free them from these associations and show them support so that they can ultimately throw their support in with the international collective of black people. Family, there were many important aspects of this speech that need to be taken a look at, and so I admonish everyone to watch this speech because it reminded me of the inception of the Nation of Islam, in which Minister Louis Farrakhan, along with Khalid Muhammad and many other brilliant orators, were non-compromising when it comes to the defense of the black community, and they openly labeled our oppressors and indeed our enemies for all of our benefits. Okay, brothers like Malcolm X stood toe-to-toe with racist individuals in scholarly debates, and he took a very powerful stance while he was associated with the Nation of Islam. And so, family, that was one of the key takeaways that I got from the video. I think Minister Louis Farrakhan was saying to us that we should be patient with some of us who have decided to criticize Ye and criticize Kyrie Irving and try not to beat them up too much in the press, which is an opinion that I share. I actually think, rather than direct our vitriol at each other, we should direct it at the source of the problem and to those who actually placed us in these conditions in the West. Okay, but I would also like to point out something that was very interesting in the speech. Minister Louis Farrakhan compared the situation that Ye and Kyrie Irving are going through to the Nation of Islam and their attacks by the Anti-Defamation League and members of the Jewish clergy. As you all remember in my previous video, Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam released a publication called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. In this publication, it outlined the integral role that Jewish persons played in the African slave trade. They played a significant role as purchasers, as persons who owned and operated slave ships, as well as those who negotiated the prices of slaves in various auction markets. All right, this is documented by Jewish scholars. And in the publication, Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam did a very great job highlighting the Jewish role in the slave trade. As a result of this publication, the Nation of Islam was branded as a hate group by the Anti-Defamation League, by the Southern Poverty Law Center, and basically by Jews worldwide. And in an attempt to extend the olive branch, Minister Louis Farrakhan agreed to a sit-down with members of the press, with the Anti-Defamation League, as well as members of the Jewish clergy. And similar to what is happening to Kyrie Irving and the conditions that are placed on him for re-entry into the NBA, Minister Louis Farrakhan was presented with a list of demands by the Jewish clergy. And they basically said that if Minister Louis Farrakhan complied with this list, that they would see to it that his image in the press is cleaned up, and they would see to it that he is spoken of in a positive light by historians. Okay, now basically by saying this to Minister Farrakhan, they were admitting that they had a role in making his image appear to be negative and hostile. And at the top of the list, they actually demanded that Minister Farrakhan denounce his own publication. And they wanted him to criticize the secret relationship between blacks and Jews. This was at the very top of the list. And so Minister Farrakhan told them that he is not willing to denounce the publication unless they are willing to denounce the scholars that are included in the publication. And as you all know from my previous video, all of the scholars in the secret relationship between blacks and Jews were actual Jews. These were Jewish historians who documented the Jewish role in the African slave trade. Okay, and so Minister Farrakhan made a brilliant point by highlighting that they were unwilling to repudiate the scholars, but they want to repudiate a publication that only compiled these scholars and their accounts of slavery and the Jewish role in the African slave trade. Okay, and so Minister Farrakhan admonished the collective weight of Kyrie Irving and Ye's critics to cease and desist their labeling and their mishandling of these brothers. Okay, Minister Farrakhan admonished us all to resist the negativity that is being thrown our way, and to even resist those who are oppressing us. Okay, I believe that Mr. Farrakhan is right for supporting the Nation of Islam's publication and for not allowing them to force him to even denounce a publication that came from his own scholars. Okay, family. And so these were the key takeaways that I got from the speech from Minister Farrakhan, but there were many powerful points made in the video, and I would admonish all of you to listen to this actual speech from Minister Louis Farrakhan. And also you should privilege yourself by downloading the PDF for the secret relationship between blacks and Jews, because it will be very eye-opening. Family, let me know your thoughts in the comments below about all these dynamics. One love.